Okay, welcome to part two. Um, there are a few more slides, not many, just a few. Um, as it says, part two, exciting stuff. The demo shoot. Um, Obviously, a large part of this was going to be an edit rather than a slideshow. And I thought, well, I need to show something that's got a number of shots and has a point to it. What are we going to do? So I wanted a short item because I wanted to be able to edit it down and then play it through without it taking forever. So it had to be only a few minutes long. So I created an idea and I created a storyboard. And the story is very simply, it's a quick look at an electric fire. That's going to sound as boring as hell, but a little bit more to it than that. So first shot, opening shot of the fire. Then I wanted a covering wide angle to include walking away from the fire. A wide angle walking into the kitchen. Medium close up at the sink. You're probably thinking, this is an electric fire. Why is he going to that? All will be revealed, as they say. All will be revealed. Close up at the fire, replacing the tank. Close up of the remote. And a mid shot of the working fire. So there's the storyboard. Notice I did it in words. I wasn't drawing pictures because I felt I didn't need to. And you weren't going to want to watch my cartoon anyway. So, editing or post-production is the next bit. I couldn't resist this picture. You're thinking, what on earth's that? Well, what that is, it's an Ampex VR2000 videotape recorder. That's actually VTA at Pebble Mill. Probably the least travelled version of its machine, I should think, in the BBC, because it started life where it is there, and it moved from there just across the river about 20 feet, where it stayed until they knocked the building down, which I haven't forgiven anybody for yet, but that's another story. That's the thing that I started working on. Takes 2-inch tape. The spool on that's a 90-minute reel. Heavy. As you can see, look at that machine. It required a fair amount of work just to keep it running. And one of the things I had to do was not only use the thing, but maintain it. If it broke down, I had to fix it. What larks, eh? Oh, and of course, in those days, this is the, let me think, this is the 80s. Machines like that were the mainstay, and editing wasn't as flash as it is these days. You'd record on one machine, and then you would re-record the bits you wanted onto another machine. And if you look to the left of the picture, you can see the monitor screen of its mate, which is VTB, just to its left. And that constituted an edit pair. So all you could do were cuts, and that was it. And all editing was done like that for years and years and years. You could actually splice that tape in the way you could splice film or audio tape. I have done it. It's slightly hair-raising. So, editing demo. Like I said, I'm using an iMac, so the demo is of iMovie. But I'm using iMovie for a number of reasons. The basic principles are the same. Different packages do it slightly different ways, but the essential principles are the same. And having looked at iMovie and others, I thought, no, actually iMovie is simple enough, but complicated enough to do for this job. And for the sake of simplicity and time, I have preloaded the clips. And this is not intended as an in-depth tutorial. This is a look at. Okay, here we have the project screen of iMovie. As you can see, and I'm hoping you can see the cursor. Bob, can you confirm that?
Yep, we can see.
Great. So that's the one you're going to be working on. But as I think most of you know, I've been editing down the Zoom chats that we've had. So there's Bob's talk a couple of weeks ago. So there are various, and it just chooses a shot, usually the first thing. So we want to do the edit demo. So here we are. This is the workspace. On the left-hand side here, you've got various, as you'd expect, various things that you can go to. Along here, you've got the usual set of things that you can select. This is the clip bin. So anything that you've copied in that you want to work on will appear in here. And if you've enough, of course, you get a drop down. Sorry, you get a scroll up and down. Down here is the timeline. This is where you do the actual editing. This over here is the monitor. And essentially that's it. So if you go to a particular clip in the clip bin, you'll notice if you look at the monitor on the right hand side that I can scroll through it. If I go to the next one, I can scroll through that. So basically, this is a quick run through of the shot you're going to see. Oh, and you can also hear the sound as well. Oh, look, it was raining then as well. Okie dokie, so there's some shots. Now, drag and drop. I always, it's probably my BBC upbringing, I suppose, I always put black at the start. It's just a thing I do. It does mean that you've always got something to cut away at the front of the video. And the other thing I should point out, you might have noticed, see at the very top left there, it says 4 seconds. It automatically makes something like this that you pop in 4 seconds long. You can change that. The other thing you will notice is that 4 seconds is taking up more than half of the timeline. That's because over here, you've got essentially the magnify bar. So you want it in the middle somewhere to start. Okay, so that's just a start now. Go back to the media. Now, if you remember, what I said was I wanted a wide angle, sorry, mid shot actually it is, of the start of the thing. And I happen to know that that's the shot I want. There's obviously a lot more shot than I need. That's not a problem. We'll drag that shot down and we'll bop it down there like that. Right, now before I do anything else, I'm going to say, right, I want the next shot. Now I'm not sure which one of these it is. Is it this one? Yes, it probably is, because that one is putting it back. So I'll drop this shot down there. And that might be enough to start us. Let's just contract it down a bit. Okay. Down here, what you've got here is a scroll bar, and you've also got a playhead. You can see I've got the scroll bar and the playhead at the same time. So if I press the space bar, you can see it starts to play. So you've got the space bar middle at the bottom. You've got me talking in the background. And you can see some action. I'm going to let this run, because it's only a few seconds. And coming up here, the moment you've got a straight line, that indicates this is a straight cut. And for the sake of this particular story, there you are, that was the straight cut we went through. If you want to put a transition in there, you've got to transitions. Now, all packages have got variations on this thing. So I'll show this on this one, but I won't actually be leaving. No, actually I won't. I'll put the cross dissolve, as they call it, in between the back and the first shot. And then I can grab the scroll bar, and there's black, and there's a nice fade up from black into the shot. Okay. Probably isn't where I want the shot to be, but it'll do for now. So, the shot's too long. How do you shorten it? Well, we'll come to that in a minute now. Right, so, oh, and by the way, I made a deliberate error. Always make deliberate errors, it's good for teaching. If you remember, I said decide whether you're going to use location audio or whether you're going to use voiceover afterwards. Remember that? Yeah. I didn't follow my own advice here, part of the teaching thing. I deliberately recorded rubbish audio just to show you that if you do, you can give yourself a problem, because I was talking. And the problem with that is I might want the sound effects, but I had intended to voice over. That was the plan. And I'm showing you that if you don't think things through, then you give yourself a problem, because the fire makes some noises and you'd like to hear them, but you can't because I'm talking over it, so, and I'm not talking loud enough to be really intelligible enough. So one of the things is decide before you press the record button if you just want effects or if you want to record an actual dialogue. And if you go to record the dialogue, get the mic in the right place, out of shot hopefully, and talk loud enough. So now there are various ways of doing this. One of the things you can press the M key, and you see there's a little blue marker come up down here. I'm just going to magnify this. Okay. So something else I didn't point out, but it should be hopefully fairly obvious. Along the bottom here is the audio track. This audio track is linked to the video track, so you hope it's sync. And you can actually increase the volume slightly by doing that, which might make it. So let's see. There we are. Now, there's various ways of editing a clip. The easy and quick way is you click on it, and you get this little yellow line around it. You move to there, and you can see I've got the arrows that imply that I can move it. And all I do is I roll it forwards to the edit point. So now go back to there and play. So let's see how the Optimist works. Okay, so that's me talking. No. Okay, so what I've done there is I've chosen an out point, which is just as I've turned it off and while I'm still crouched. So I'm going to stick another marker point there. Oh, incidentally, you might ask why am I doing it that way. In the good old days of VT, particularly those machines I showed you, if you were going to mark an edit point, you were watching it and you hit an edit button on the edit machine. And this is the same sort of process. And it's just okay, I was working like that 30 years ago. Old habits die hard, all that. So we'll take that as an out point. Now I want an in point, don't I? So what have we got? And I need to increase the volume too. Don't forget, if you've got questions, do shout out. Okay, so with the fire on. So. Because I was out of shot, I'm out of shot in this one, I figured that you might want a little bit of rustling while I'm coming in, so we're going to do that. Okay, there we go. Bring your playhead back to there and just have a look. I think it needs to be filled with water. I'll turn it off. Okay, so with the fire off, what we have to do is we remove. Got to bear in mind that the viewer knows that I was standing a few feet away from it, so I've got to have time to get to it. So although it's a blank shot to start with, there is a bit of dialogue, and you can see something going on. So that gets me to the point where I've taken the reservoir out. Okay, there. Let's go back and find the next sequence. There then. What I actually want is me taking it out. So it's actually that sequence. So I'll pop this down here. Right, so that's the next sequence. Now then, one thing I didn't mention, and I'm hoping that this shot is now making you wonder about this. I've already said that I've got two cameras. The first two shots were taken on the Nikon. This next one is taken on the Lumix. They're both set to auto white balance. And guess what? They got a different version of it. You can, I'm not going to now, but you can up here, you've got various controls. So you can actually have a little play with it. It's pretty rudimentary, but you can. You can do some colour correction, you can do some colour balance. But for the sake of argument at the moment, we want to choose the edit point, because we'll come back to that in a bit. So let's choose an out point. Gone back too far. Right. We'll try there. Oh, incidentally, one of the things about doing it this way is that, and you can see how simple and quick it is of course, I haven't cut the clip in half. I've just effectively hidden it. It means it's all there if I want it again. Now, so this is me. I've walked it. I've set. So basically, I've just set this camera recording. I've gone back, got the other one recording. Let's try there. Oh, sorry, wrong end. Yeah, so I'm actually taking out a chunk of the shot at the front. Something like that. Now, when you're doing it like this is a real-time cut. So you would hope that it flows.
Tank. No, we've done that. We've fill it up.
As you can see, I've got a double in there, so I'm quite clearly not in the right place. So we just lose that bit of dark. Yeah.
We fill it up. No, we've done that. We fill it up.
I think I could probably take a bit more out of that.
No, we've done that. We fill it up.
Maybe a double. If it was in the room, I could ask your opinion, but yeah, it's probably not far out. Okay. Don't forget this being non-linear editing. Oh, by the way, that's something else I didn't mention. I mentioned about the videotape machine and the fact that you copy the material from one to the other. That's linear editing. So you have to do the first shot first and the second shot second, obviously. So that's linear. And if you miss a bit, well, it's a pain. With this is like, this is word processing for pictures. That's how I look at video editing. Like this. You can take something and you can play around with it and put it where you like, and you can check if you don't like it, you put it somewhere else. Simple as. Great. Now, so I've stood up, I walk towards the camera, and I walk out. And I could choose that point there. So for the time being, we will. And then this shot is me. Now, this is not the continuous, of course, although it's meant to be. This is me coming into shot. I notice there's a false start. So first of all, we'll try while I leave the one shot and I'm not in the second shot. So we'll see if that looks okay. I hope this is making sense. Okay. Works, but it's a bit brutal with two empty shots. So personally, I'm going to move it in this one so that I'm just in shot. And this one to about there. And we'll try that. And although I might have compressed time, that actually makes you feel that I've walked straight from one room into the other without a gap in the between. Now, personally, I quite like that bit. It's pretty much right. Right, so I've walked to the sink. What do I do next? Well, I know that I fill the tank, so we've got that one in there like that. And I obviously walk into this shot, and again, this is something, if you shoot something and then sometime later you come to edit it, you need to remember if you put full starts in. You will occasionally see them go out like this. You might get double bits occurring in an edited piece for news, usually because they didn't have time or the person doing it didn't review it. What happened here is I kicked the kickboard. I know it's there as a kickboard, but you don't want that on the video. Right? No, take it away. Away again. So probably something like that. I'm going to try that as a slide. I haven't chosen yet. Something like that.
So here we are.
Okay. Now, what I did now is I figured you've already seen me walk out the room, so you probably don't want to see me walk back in. So I can actually telescope time a little bit here. So what I've now got is I need to find the shot where I walk back in, or rather, yes, not walk back in, but actually come to the fire. Now, is it this one? Yes, it is, you see. So that shot is going down here. So I'll walk out of that shot. Probably take a bit off that. I need to somewhere about there will probably be about right. You don't need the shot of me walking back, you've already seen it once. So actually putting another shot of me walking away towards camera in the kitchen would be pointless, in my view. So
Back on. Job done.
And that's probably too long. I'll take a tiny bit off the out. And I'll compress that a tiny bit as well. There we go. And while I'm about it, I'll pull that sound level down, and that's something like that.
Back on. Job done. Okay.
Still too long.
Okay. Okay, so
Okay.
Get remote control.
Oops. Try that. Yeah. That's the close-up, putting the file back together. What I now want is a shot of the remote control. Now, is this the shot? You see why the trim bin, sorry, the clip bin is quite useful. because you can just go through it and make sure it's the shot, or not the shot that you want.
I'll just turn the fire back on.
I'm going to turn it down a bit as well. It's a bit crude, by the way, this volume control on this. One of the things you get with free software, it hasn't got all the niceties. So this is the last but one shot. What I want to do is go away. When do you think directors used to pay to sit and watch me do this? For some reason, I'm struggling to find the actual part of the shot I want.
Okie dokie, so we've filled it up, put the thing back together. With remote control, we'll just turn the fire on.
That was the bit I wanted. Right. So that's the shot I want. Here's the remote control, and we'll just turn the fire back on. And it didn't that time, you see.
Okie dokie, so we've filled it up, put the thing back together.
So just put this thing on here. Probably something about like that. Okay. Something about like that. Occasionally, you wish that the thing would be a little bit more, well, have a little bit more finesse about the way it would expand and contract. I can't always do it as neatly as I'd like, but such is life, eh? Right. So,
remote control.
I haven't chosen.
Okie dokie, so.
Right, okie dokie. Now, so the last shot, this one. Okay.
Okay. Okie dokie, so we've.
Now, remember I was saying about one of the things I didn't do? I talked over it. The fire makes a glugging noise while it's filling up the reservoir. But unfortunately, because I was talking, I can't continue that over the shot next, which is later when it's done it. Right, so in essence, that's the piece put together. So we'll play it in a minute bore the pants off you. But before we do that, I want to do some captions. Now, another word about titles. When I was doing, because I use this package to edit the bits for our Zoom meetings, and because I wanted to include the Society's logo, I couldn't see an easy way of doing it in iMovie. I actually did them in Photoshop. I made up captions in Photoshop in the right format, and then imported those as essentially clips. And I actually found, as it turns out, that's in some ways a better way of doing it. The one thing I'm not fond of is the way this text software works. So I'll pop one in there. And you notice it does this zooming thing. So what you do is you click on it and you click in there. And I can put a new title in. Come back. Right, so I'm going to be boring and put the end. Okay, so that's that. Now, what will happen is that it will zoom in and out. That's something that iMovie does. This particular one's got a wipe on it as well, and you can't get rid of that. Each particular caption has its own way of doing things, and it can drive you mad. So one of the things that you benefit from with more expensive software is the ability to do more nice things, maybe. Just have a look at the out. So you see it smoking, and then we go to the end, and it fades to black. Now, we could probably do with something at the front end, just to explain what we do. So back to the title. And I'll actually use the same title because I think it's always a good idea to use the same. Let me just get rid of that. Sorry. Yeah, it's always a good idea, I think, to use the same title format. You should certainly be using the same font with what you do. Okay. So, I want to put a mix. So, go to transitions, cross dissolve, pop that in there. Okay. Now you might ask, why have I not put any mixes in the actual edited piece itself? Well, the answer is, typically you would use a mix if you're trying to show a passage of time, and a cut if you're actually doing making it feel like it's real time. Once watched a video done by a Christian company, and the guy doing it constantly mixed between the presenter and members of the audience, and it felt so weird because the mix normally says we're moving in time, but you clearly weren't, because you've still got the person talking. So only use a mix or a dissolve, or whatever you like, when there's a reason to. I happen to think that coming out of a title into the edit is a nice way of doing it, in this particular one. Likewise, mixing out of it at the end, I think, is a nice thing to do. Through the piece itself, you want it, I think, with cuts. And I've shown you how easy it is to put a mix in. So that's take it out. You can put other things. You can put spins. I do use things like spins and so forth carefully. Yeah, the clothes show really won a BAFTA for putting in loads of fancy effects. But that was kind of part of the program. I think most things you just need basic cuts and straightforward mixes. Anything else can look a bit twee. That's my opinion. You don't have to go by it, but there we are. So, just looking up here, you can see that the total piece is 2 minutes 30. Now I'm going to make you sit through it and watch it for 2 minutes 30, just because I can. And because actually, having done this, I then want to talk about another few things. So let's see how the Optimist Fire works, shall we? Notice I'm off mic, it sounds echoey and thin. A little display tells what temperature it's set to. And it should, I think it needs to be filled with water. I'll turn it off. Okay, so with the fire off, what we have to do is we remove this piece carefully. Put that there. And then we lift out the empty tank. When we've done that, we fill it up.
So here we are, just to fill the water tank up with filtered tap water, which is what this is. Pop the lower back on, job done. Okay, so here we are with the refill tank. What you can see here is the units with the ultrasonic sensor underneath there. And underneath this is basically the reservoir that it pulls the water from. And there is the unit that actually produces the smoke. And behind, of course, the LED lamps. So we pop that in like that. Filling. And we'll pop that back on there like that. Okay. Okie dokie. So we've filled it up, put the thing back together. With remote control, we'll just turn the fire on.
And there we have it. That is a duplex Optimist Fire working as it's supposed to. Water vapour, fresh in the smoke. I think it's working. Right, so you'll see the sound levels are all over the place. I can take that one down a bit. I probably need to take the other one up, and that's the maximum. But I think that what you're seeing here is that one of the reasons why you really do need to think about your sound. Remember back in the part one, I gave you a link that talked about the different sound quality makes. One of the bits is he shows you a video, two video really, one with very good pictures and not very good sound, another one with pretty poor pictures and very good sound. And the argument that, the question raised is which one is more acceptable? And I think everyone would say, well, the one with good sound, you can tolerate bad pictures more than you can tolerate bad sound. A curious thing, that. Now, a few other things that I'll show you about this, then we'll have a few questions. You've got options. You can change the speed. But one thing I was going to talk about here is you can detach the audio. If you do that, the audio comes down here. You can do various things. You can move it about side to side, like that, and get it completely out of sync. You can extend it, like that. And in fact, you can also, if I do that, you can put a little mix on it, which is about the only way really in this that you can do a cross mix with the sound. Other programs will give you the same function with the soundtrack as you've got with the vision track. In other words, you can put a sound mix in just by clicking on the soundtrack. You don't have to detach it like this. So you can do things like that. That's one reason why I don't cut the clips up, because this way you've actually got everything available to you. What else can I show you that might be of interest? Well, I think questions really at this stage, and then I'll show you the difference between this workplace, space rather, and Adobe Premiere. So, any questions? Or have you all gone to sleep? You've all gone to sleep. Brilliant.
Yeah. Well, I'm here. Hope is anybody else still there? Yes. We're so impressed, Jim.
I wouldn't be sure about that.
Jim, can I ask if you had video recording and for some or all of it you wanted to put on an external musical soundtrack?
Yes.
That'd be simple?
Yes, indeed. What you would do is you go up to audio here.
Yes.
And then you go to your music.
Right.
So as you can see, it's finding all my my entire iTunes library.
Right. So you can simply
or sound effects.
Yeah.
Or I could record something in GarageBand. I haven't at the moment, but I could. Or actually, if you notice the little microphone symbol down here,
Yes.
you click that, you get another little button. If you notice, this bit here is a level meter. That bit obviously is the record button. And this is, you've got one or two little, you can choose a built-in microphone, or if I've got the ability, I can have an extra microphone outside. I can adjust the volume of the microphone, and I can also mute the project while I'm doing it. Okay, so let me see if there's a point in this where I can do it. Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'll do it over this. Right, now. So what I want to do is, I'm going to record a brief voiceover over that. I've got this right. If I do this, having done that, we fill it up and walk away from the fire. There we are. Okay. Tank. Having done that, we fill it up and walk away from the fire. There we are. So it's very simple to put a voiceover on. And obviously with a thing like this, and that's why I showed you the errors, if I'd recorded this and not spoken, then, and I'd also got the sound levels right, which was a fault, then it would have been a piece of cake to have put it all together with live sound, and then to have recorded a voiceover over the whole thing once I'd put the edit back together. Which would normally, with something like this, you either want it mic'd up properly and you do the sound for real, but as I've shown, that can cause problems if you've got a sound effect, like the fire, the reservoir filling, and you cut away from it to a shot where it's not doing it, you could really do with the gurgling sound fading out, not cutting out. I couldn't do it here for the simple reason that I was talking over it. So there we are. Any more questions?
Jim, it's Rich. Can I?
Yes.
Yes. I noticed when you drop the video clips onto the timeline, you leave a little gap between them all. Yeah. But those gaps don't actually occupy any time, do they?
No. This particular package puts them down with a gap between, like this. The gap is of 0 frames, but it's where it puts the icon that shows you if you've got an effect. So under transitions, so for example, I'll show one that's really horrid here. I'll put mosaic in there, okay? Now, you can see all it shows is the transition there. That shows you the cut. The little yellow box with the the 2 triangles shows you the transition. I'm going to lose that sound because I don't really want that. So we cut from there into that shot. Now, personally, I hate that. But that's why it leaves a gap. It so that you can see very easily where to put a transition. Yeah.
Anybody else, or do you want Jim to carry on?
Is Shannon here? I was just wondering, what's the name of the software you've been demonstrating to us? Is it Photoshop
Right. This
or
one.
Adobe or?
Right. This one is iMovie. It's an Apple package that I think you can download, but it comes with all Apple computers preloaded.
Oh, okay, yeah.
As I say, it's good for this sort of purpose. If you just want to put something together very quickly, and you're not too bothered about doing fancy things with the sound, other than perhaps putting in some voiceover or music, it's a great package. As you can see, it didn't take me long to put that together at all, and you can see what you're doing all the time, and it's obviously free. It gives you various options when you want to export. That's perhaps something I ought to cover. So you've done your movie, and you want to export it, i.e., you want to do something else with it. You don't want it to just sit on your computer. So up here under File, sorry, Edit. I was right in the first place, but why is it not? Share. Sorry, this is all something different. Yes, share. You can do an email version. You can do a YouTube version. Well, you can read it for yourself. And the idea is that it actually tries to make it of a size suitable for those. Now, doing it. Problem. YouTube, Facebook, and Vimeo. It actually it prepares it, but then it asks you where do you want to put it in those various platforms. So it's actually designed to simplify it, which is great if that's what you want. But if actually what you want is something that will end up on Facebook, but you want to extract it first, it's a little more difficult. So in that instance, I went to File, and then it comes up with this. So you can edit demo, you can change the title, you can then give it a description, format resolution there, quality high, and compress faster. Don't believe it will. Well, actually, no, that probably is what it'll come out at. It's fairly small. I think Bob's talk, which went on for an hour and 20, Bob, something like that.
Yeah, thereabouts, I think, yeah.
Was getting on for 4 gigabytes, which for HD resolution is about what you'd expect. But of course, 4 gigs is a difficult size file to move about. So actually, I had the option when I was doing it of making it of lower quality or making it big. And me being me, I tend to go for the higher quality. But it'd be an interesting. I think in terms of quality, when we're doing competitions on Zoom, I really think that we owe to everybody to get the highest quality we can. If it's a talk like this, I don't know. Could we get away with lower quality? You tell me. In any case, we've split this one up deliberately so it's in 2 halves, which will be able to be moved about. Pull that one down. Yeah, so that's that. Would you like to see the difference between this then and Premiere?
Yeah, yes, please.
Thanks, Shannon. At least somebody said. The other thing is, having named it. Oh, when you start, by the way, you don't get to title it until you've actually edited it. Slightly backwards thinking, but there you are. So to come out of iMovie, I suppose I ought to stop the share first, really. I'll stop the share. I will come out of iMovie. Right, so this is Premiere. and you can see it's similar but different. I think one of the main differences is the timeline has got far more going on in there. You've got 3 video tracks. You've got various audio tracks. You can add voice, you can add music. This is about 80 and 90 quid. It's got a guide. It's got 3 modes. You can have quick edit. You can have a guided edit, or you can have an expert edit. It's just switch over. It, in some ways, and it's why I didn't use this. Adding media is simple; it's what you'd expect. But whereas with iMovie, you've got transitions and so forth already there for you. This one, being Adobe, there are, of course, shortcuts and drop-down menus and all that sort of business. But it's got guides. It's more powerful. You can do more with it. It's what you'd expect. It's, you're paying for it, and it's made by Adobe. So, and I wouldn't say that anybody needs Premiere Pro. You'd need a more powerful computer than I've got to run it, and also I think it's a bit like the difference between Photoshop Elements and the full version of Photoshop. How many of us use the full facilities of Photoshop all the time? I think most of the time we can get away with using Elements. Likewise, you can get away with using Premiere. You need Premiere Pro if you're doing something really serious, or you're actually trying to get broadcast stuff. But this is fine for most stuff. And if I was buying one, I mean, yeah, as I said, I did buy that one. I tried various other free packages because I thought to myself, well, iMovie's on this one, and if you've got an Apple, that's great. But I wanted to try some free ones to see if they'd be suitable for this sort of session. And I was rather disappointed to discover that most of them didn't seem to want to run. When I looked at the specs, some of them actually asked for more than this computer's got. This, by the way, is an iMac 27 with an i5 processor, which is what it came with. And it's just not fast enough, frankly, to run some of the packages, even the free ones, which is annoying. But that's life, I suppose. And anyway, Premiere is quite a nice package. There's plenty out there. Have a look if you fancy trying it. I would start with something simple, though. I mean, something like iMovie enables you to very quickly put something together and actually finish it off nicely. So you can say, look, this is something I did. If you've got footage that you've shot that you've never actually successfully put together, stick it into a free package and see what you can do. You lose nothing. It's like trying RAW when most people, a lot of people shoot JPEG. Oh, I can't shoot RAW, or I'm scared of trying RAW. Well, why? Frankly, it's free, it's cheap. You don't lose anything. So there we are. Okay. Any more questions?
How are we doing? Are we all now enthused to go off and do shooting video and editing?
Yeah.
Of course you are.
Excellent.
Slightly overall.
That was excellent, Jim. Thank you.
It was a very good talk.
It was
Thank
really
you.
good. I really enjoyed it.
Good. Thank you.
Really good. Thank you.
I
Thank
think
you.
I think that might get in for the BAFTAs next year.
Like these, it's a slightly surreal shot. It could be the in thing if you're really bored at home watching a fire being refilled. Could be. Right. Okay, so look, is there anything else? I mean, Jim, I'm sure is always happy to have email questions. And
Yes, of course.
we'll get this edited, and I'm going to have a practice editing as well. But I suspect the version that will come out will be Jim's, not mine. But we'll have a go. So no more questions. Don't think so. It's been a good session. Can we just sort of do a virtual clap to thumbs up?
Hey, folks.
Well done.
Just before
Well
you
done.
go, I'll put a reminder out, but our next session is on the 7th of July. This time it's an external speaker, so it's the first external speaker. We've got a guy called Robert Harvey, who's a professional photographer. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be all about macro of insects and orchids and all sorts of exciting beasts and bugs. So that's something to look forward to. That's the 7th of July. We'll put out plenty of information. But that's the next one. And thanks again, Jim. So good night, everybody.
Yes,
Great to see you.
thank you.
Night.
Good night, all. Thank you very much, Jim.
Thank you,
Cheers.
Jim. Interesting.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.